The first thing that hit me wasn't the smoky, it was the smell. Sharp, bitter, acrid. Not the usual California suburb vibe of fresh-cut grass and chlorine wafting from someone's overpriced pool. No, this was the angry stench of something valuable turning to ash, and fast. I looked up and saw a thick, dark plume of smoke twisting its way into the sky just a few houses down, right behind Mrs. Winthrop's place. Sweet lady. Collects porcelain birds and always offers mints nobody ever takes. But her backyard butts up to the canyon brush that's been dry as bone all summer. Everyone's been jittery about it for weeks. Lena, do you smell that? I called out, already halfway to the front door. That's not a grill. She was at the window, hand covering her mouth. Oh my God, Sam. Call 911. I was already on it. Heart thudding so loud in my ears I could barely hear the dispatcher. Outside, neighbors were trickling onto their front lawns, squinting toward the smoke, faces pinched with that mix of confusion and fear you only see in real emergencies. But we all figured help was coming. We thought the sirens meant resolution. What we didn't account for, what I could never have imagined, was Janice Elwood. Janice, our HOA president and resident enforcer of all things beige. There she stood, in her usual tan slacks and utility vest, positioned dead center in the cul-de-sac like a mall cop cosplaying as General Patton. Her arms were crossed, expression carved out of judgment, and behind her the brush truck from Station 14, smaller engine, sled attached, was stuck. Literally couldn't pass. And why? Because according to Janice, the fire engine exceeded the decorative paver weight limit. You think I'm kidding? I wish I were. The fire captain leaned out of the cab, face already red from either frustration or the heat. Ma'am, he said, sirens winding down. We have a report of an active brush fire. And this, she cut in, loud and sharp, is a private access road. For residents and SAW-approved vendors only SAW. Your vehicle exceeds the HOA weight restriction for this decorative pavying. It's in our bylaws section 11, subsection C, paragraph 4. Do you have a vendor permit? You could feel the air get sucked out of the street. Nobody moved. I think even the fire captain was momentarily stunned silent. Janice was out here playing gatekeeper while flames were literally chewing their way towards someone's patio furniture. Ma'am, he tried again, voice tight, this is a fire. People's homes could be in danger. And I'm in danger of a cracked road. She shot back, completely serious. That imported stonework was funded by community dues. I'll need to see your paperwork. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a power trip anymore, this was an opportunity. A wild, borderline illegal, once-in-a-lifetime, seize-the-moment kind of opportunity. Because about 20 minutes away sat my secret weapon. My own bright red 60-foot-long, 30-ton ladder engine, bought at a surplus auction before Janice had even learned how to spell weight limit. I turned to Lena, who had just run up beside me. Her eyes were locked on Janice. She's not going to move, I muttered. Lena just stared. What are you thinking? I grinned. I have a very large, very red key to this problem and it's parked in Tom's barn. She blinked. The fire truck? Sam, you'll get arrested. Only if I'm not fast enough. I was already heading to the truck, yelling over my shoulder, call Tom. Tell him it's go time. Now, for you to understand why I even saw a decommissioned fire engine, we've got to rewind a bit. See, I'm not a firefighter. I'm not even particularly handy. But I do have a soft spot for restoring old SARE VYC vehicles. It started with a police cruiser from the 70s. Then came an ambulance. Eventually, I stumbled onto this Monstera 1985 Grumman aerial cat with a ladder that reached higher than Janice's sense of self-importance. I never meant to drive it. It was more of a project, a passion. It was going to live in a beautiful 2-story workshop I'd been designing ever since we moved to Palmetto Ridge, our sunny, rule-obsessed little slice of HOA-controlled paradise. Of course, the moment I submitted my workshop plans, Janice swooped in like a hawk who smelled noncompliance. Mr. Reddick, she said at the first REVYEW board meeting, your proposed roof pitch is off by 2.3 degrees from regulation standard. It's 2 degrees, I replied. You can't even see that without laser levels. Regulations are regulations, she said, scribbling with her beige pen. Also, she added, tapping her notes, barn red is not on the approved color palette. We offer sandstone, dune, or tasteful ash. What followed was months of citations, complaints, and one particularly bizarre write-up for offensive lawn ornamentation she meant my niece's gnome. That was the opening salvo. What came next was trench warfare. She cited me for HOA-ing lumber on my driveway for more than 4 hours. Sabotaged the layout stakes my contractor placed for the shed. Measured the wheelbase of his truck. It became personal. So yeah, by the time Janice blocked a literal fire truck over cobblestones, I was more than ready to escalate. 20 minutes later, I came barreling back into the neighborhood behind the wheel of a cherry red ladder engine the size of a small aircraft carrier. I blasted the air horn as I rolled in, just to make an entrance. People turned. Phones came out. Even the wind seemed to pause. Janice, to her credit, didn't faint, but she did drop her laminated bylaw sheet. The fire captain looked from her to me, then back again. "Who the hell are you?" "Sam Reddick," I said, popping the cab door. Concerned citizen, amateur historian, enthusiastic owner of a 60-foot argument. Janice found her voice again. "That vehicle is SAW not approved SAW. It is oversized. It is SAW aggressively red SAW." "Technically," I corrected, "it's rescue red. Calming in emergencies." Officer Delaney, who had just arrived with backup, stepped forward. "Sir, is that thing street legal?" "Smogged and insured," I said. "She's classified as historical. Fully compliant with state transport regs." The fire captain didn't wait. "You got water pressure?" I nodded. "More than your average suburban sprinkler system." He clapped his hands. "Let's do this." The next few minutes were surreal. I backed the engine onto the non-decorative section of asphalt, deployed the outriggers, extended the ladder. The nozzle hissed. Water burst skyward like a geyser and crashed down on the roof of Mrs. Winthrop's place just as the flames hit the siding. Janice tried to protest, tried to scream about bylaws and governance and HOA sovereignty. But by then Officer Delaney had had enough. He gently guided her toward the sidewalk. "Ma'am, interfering with emergency response is a criminal offense. Maybe sit this one out." Later, they found Fujimi's security cam, disguised as a rock of Janice sneaking around my property late one night, quietly pulling up the survey stakes for my shed. At the emergency HOA meeting that followed, the community took a vote. Janice was out. The new president, Gabe, wore board shorts and flip-flops and mostly cared about putting a basketball hoop in the cul-de-sac for the kids. My workshop? Approved. In all its rustic, barn-red glory. As for the ladder truck, she got her own bay, her own brass bell, and a plaque that read, "In case of bureaucratic emergency break glass." Sometimes, fighting fire with fire isn't the answer. Sometimes, you fight fire with a 30-ton diesel-powered symbol of noncompliance. And sometimes that's exactly what the neighborhood needs. So yeah, if you're watching this and you live under the iron grip of an HOA dictator, let me ask you, what would you do? Play by the rules and let your roses burn? Or fire up the engine and make a little history? Let me know in the comments. Would you drive a ladder truck through a cul-de-sac if it meant doing the right thing? Because I did, and I'd do it again.